Bonnie Jill Laflin is truly a sports pioneer, and in her book, In a League of Her Own, she documents some experiences she's had not only as an NBA scout for over a decade, but as a sportscaster, as a reporter, currently covering the teams in the Dallas Metroplex, including the Texas Rangers. She also had conversations with some notable female athletes like Jackie Joyner-Kersee, Mary Lou Retton, Billie Jean King. It's all documented in her book, and it's great to have Bonnie back on the program with us. Bonnie, good morning. Nice to see you.
Hi, y'all. Hey, Matt. Hey, HR. How you doing?
We're doing great. I would imagine that you had favorites in crafting this book among interview subjects, women that you really learned something from, that you connected with the most. If I were to ask you, it's an unfair question because I know you loved all the experiences with these people, but who stood out to you the most?
Well, of course, Billie Jean King, but that goes without, we know that. But Jane Kennedy, Danica Patrick, it was great to interview both of those ladies. Jane Kennedy, I really feel like I related to her because she didn't take the typical route. She came from being a beauty queen, an actress, a model, and so forth. So I could really relate to her being the first African-American female to be a sports host on a main NFL show. Also, Danica Patrick, she was so stoic in her interview, but then when I started speaking to her about her father and her go-kart racing, she really started to get emotional and cry. And then, of course, Rachel Bakovic, who is the player development for the Miami Marlins. At the time, she was in the farm system for the Yankees. And so her journey and what she's had to go through and her struggles, all of that. There's so many women, how much they've sacrificed. And I think we all had that common bond.
So I've got to know most of the women you were talking about. Mary Lou here, Jackie Joyner. Billie Jean is one of my all-time favorites, and she is a pistol. And every time I talk to her, she is championing, even though she was still playing back in the 60s to now. She's championed women's movements. And so I'm wondering, as this book comes out, what would her thoughts be, the times that we're living in, as we're starting to see a Caitlin Clark, and we're starting to see things happening in women's sports? What's Billie's thought on all this?
When I spoke to her, she was thrilled of the steps we're making, still hoping to make more strides, but she just loves the fact that there is some notoriety coming along with women in sports, and not just on the court, on the field, but off as well, in the front office, and seeing how the game is developing, and the Caitlin Clarks and the Angela Reese, all that, that she was able to see how much she's paved the way, and now to see what she wanted and hoped for so far back that now there's some things that are actually happening that she said she never imagined, that she would even be speaking still and having to be able to let people know, I kind of started this all. And so it was really nice that she was thrilled with the movement of women in sports.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, the Bobby Riggs tennis match was such a big thing. But I want to come back to this point with you. The thing that grabbed my attention was you scouted the NBA. And I can hear Billie Jean going, "That's right, we can do everything the men can do." Talk to me about scouting the NBA for over a dozen years.
Yes, I was actually covering the team at the time, and then our GM, Mitch Kupchak, and Jerry West, and Phil Jackson, they saw that I had an eye for talent, that I could break down the triangle offense, which most women can't. And so then I just started scouting players for the first year. I did it, without getting paid, just to prove my worth, and they loved my scouting reports, and then ended up being with the team for 13 seasons. And it was tough, especially being under Phil, as you can imagine.
Were you looking for players that could execute in the triangle, or?
Yeah, high basketball IQ. Phil liked big guards, but real smart players. Phil really liked players that were smart. If you look at some of the guys, the Derek Fishers, the Luke Wallens, they might not have fit so much in been so successful in other offenses, but in the triangle, there was a really big gap for people to be able to succeed there.
Bonnie, I think sometimes, and I'm sure you've had experiences like this as well, early in your career, trying to prove that you could compete intellectually as a player development mind with males, and it's a male world, a world of scouting. I think sometimes, and even in broadcasting, women might try to do too much to prove that they belong. How difficult is that to kind of balance what you know with how to apply it when you're trying to establish your career?
That's a great question. I felt in the beginning I wasn't really even comfortable in my own skin. I would throw my hair up in a ball cap. I would wear big Jordan sweats because I didn't want to look like I was one of a female, because I was the only female. So I tried to mesh with the boys, there's no room for error, no margin for error. So I always had to be perfect. And so I think that really gets to be a little bit stressful, instead of just saying, and hey, I'm here, I'm knowledgeable, I know what Phil wants, knowing the triangle, being able to have that eye for talent. But in the beginning, it is being comfortable in your own skin, realizing, okay, I'm a female. And I think the person who gave me the best advice would probably be Kobe Bryant. Kobe told me, you know what, you know your stuff, you know your basketball. Just settle in and don't try to keep proving more than you need to because you're a female.
So, Bonnie, if I'm traveling in the airport or I'm walking by the book stand and I see your book, what message would I tell somebody the reason they want to pick this up?
I think the reason HR that I wrote this book was to create a space for women and for the younger generation to realize that there is a space for them. And if there's not, create that. You have to do your due diligence. You have to be knowledgeable. You have to have that work ethic. You have to understand you're going to be under scrutiny. But if you do the right things and you stay on track and you stay resilient and have that tenacity, that you can do anything you put your mind to.
So let's talk a little bit about the Rangers. I know that you were in Surprise, Arizona, covering the Rangers as you do, and I don't want to pound on the fans of the Dallas Metroplex here, but given what's happening with the Mavericks and the Cowboys, maybe the best shot at a championship this year is in our sport in baseball. Talk about who you visited with in Rangers camp and their expectations for the season.
I did a sit down with Bruce Bochy, and meeting with the skip, he's was really optimistic, especially working on their bullpen, as we know that's where they've been struggling, being able to re-sign Evaldi and just be able to get this team back on track. We always know that there's that off year. I hate to say the hangover year after winning a World Series, but that was obviously what happened last year. And just getting those guys dialed in, and I think they're more motivated to come back strong. And they're in a tough division, of course. Seattle, we know it's going to be really strong. But with Boch, he's just that guy can do anything. And the way that the players respect him, it's just pretty amazing. And having Jock Peterson as well, having that leadership in the clubhouse.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun year for them and a fun year for you covering them, too. Bonnie, it's nice to see you again. Thanks for the visit today. The book is In a League of Her Own, celebrating female firsts in sports. Thanks again for the time, Bonnie. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Tell us how camp is going. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see y'all. It's all good. Always good to get back out there, be around the boys a little bit, get the juices flowing for the season.
So, Matt, you're back home now a couple of years. How different has it been to this year compared to the first year being home?
Yeah, first year, a little bit of a whirlwind, just between the trade, a new contract, being with a new team, being at home. Going into the fourth year now, got, definitely all settled and, just loving the chance that I'm getting. Not everybody gets the opportunity to play big league baseball in the city they grew up in for such a storied franchise. So I'm enjoying it.
How are you handling the ticket requests?
Friends and family have been pretty good to me, actually, from the start. So it could have been worse.
Matt, I like talking to veteran players about spring experiences because I feel like there's always for veterans, there's one loud voice in camp that you seem to hear everywhere, right? You're on a backfield, you hear him. You're in the the quote unquote big league park, you hear him. You're in the clubhouse, you hear him. Is it a teammate? Is it a coach? Is it maybe a fan? Who's that one voice that you seem to hear throughout camp?
We kind of got a group, and it's made up of Acuna, Ozuna, Arcia, and Ozzy. It's nonstop, but I enjoy it. So I like to poke and prod when I can and stir up some commotion.
How's your Spanish? You habla at all?
I habla a little bit.
Okay.
But I would say it's not good. They can absolutely talk some trash behind my back without me knowing. But I'll catch a couple phrases here and there and chime in when I can.
No, that sounds like a fun group and a fun infield at that. A lot of guys around. You brought up Acuna. How's Ronald looking? How's he moving? How's he feeling? What do you see it?
He looks awesome. He's working his tail off over here. You can tell. He's always, in the gym with strength guys in the training room, trying to get right. Seen some video of him taking BP and out on the field, taking some live at-bats. He looks great. Obviously, there's going to be, some last steps of just recovering from an injury like that. Being able to cut and stop and run and those kind of things. But all the baseball activity we've seen from him that's Ronald Acuna.
Well, the one thing you guys have done real well, I know last year you got hit with the injury bug, the team did, but guys play every day. You played, the last 3 years you played all 162. I remember back when we played, that was kind of the goal. Everybody wanted to play 162. It's different in today's generation. So what's the mindset for you? And is that something you guys talk about collectively as a team, or is that just you individually?
No, I think it's a team. It's something we want to do. I think guys understand their value, understand the value of being on the field, and you can't help the team win from the bench. So,
do you train differently than maybe other teams?
I don't know. I always kind of look at it as you got to have a good off season. From the third or fourth day of spring and after, you're never at 100%. So if you can take that 100% up a little higher in the off season, kind of set that bar, you're going to dwindle down as the season goes on. But if you can, kind of raise that level in the off season, you'll be in a better spot. And we enjoy going out there and playing every day. You also don't want to be the guy who has an off day in our clubhouse because you're going to hear about it.
Hey, Matt, as a power hitter, how is your process in camp different from somebody, I guess, for whom power isn't expected? In other words, do you start with a certain amount of drills, a certain type of drill early in camp, and then by the time you guys break camp, are you doing different things?
No, I think most guys are generally doing the same thing. You know, I don't. For me, the power comes when I'm taking good at bats and putting good swings on it. You know, I understand that I am a power guy, but that's not how I view myself going up to the plate. I go up to be a hitter, and I can be a good hitter who has power. So we're all kind of the same with that. We got a lot of guys who got some juice, but you're up there to take good at bats.
Hey, when we watch you guys play, and we always think we're smart over here, right, in the studio, and we always think we are onto stuff. And one of the things I think I'm onto with you is Sunday day games. Matt Olson hits for power. Does that at all enter in your mind, or is it coincidence? Is it even accurate?
I don't know. We'd have to dig into the numbers there. Maybe get some better winds blowing out on day games. Maybe that's something to do with it. Just get it up in the wind at Truist. But yeah.
All right, man. Hey, Matty, we appreciate the visit today. We wish you luck this year. Love watching you swing the bat, dude. Big things for the Braves, and we appreciate the time today.